What a week in science. We de-extincted a wolf and we found out that ball pythons can fly. Or at least this guy thinks that they can. So today I'm going to tell you the 5 things you can do on the internet to make everybody hate you all at once. My name's Adam, that is Diamond, you're watching Wickens Wicked Reptiles. Stick around. I'm probably calling this video things to get you canceled in the reptile community, so let's just define what canceled means. In my opinion, if someone's going to cancel you, what they're doing is they're taking away your credibility. And there are times when being canceled is not so bad. There are people who definitely need it, but most of the time, probably not. This one that we're talking about most recently is definitely one that you probably shouldn't do. And if people don't like you, it's kind of your fault. So let's first talk about the easiest way, throwing ball pythons around an expo. So there's a guy whose name we don't need to make him any more famous than he already is. You can see his face in the clips here. And he decided at an expo that he needed to spice things up a bit. Because let's be honest, at regional expos like this one, I've been to a lot of them, I've vended some. I understand, sometimes it's a slow day, your feet hurt, you've been tired, you've been standing all day, you did the setup the night before, it's the end of the day, and you haven't really sold as much as you need to really make it worth your time. So the best thing to do in this case is to do exactly what this guy did. Well, sort of. What I mean is engage the audience. What I wouldn't recommend is engaging them by like abusing animals is pretty bad. Wouldn't do that. And listen, if he actually did it and he did juggle them and it looked cool, then he might, well, he definitely wouldn't have gotten away with it at all. And he shouldn't either. But at least then you could be like, oh, he's got this cool trick. It's terrible. But like he wanted to show everybody it's still terrible. But instead it optically looked bad too because he didn't juggle them. He just threw them around and then they fell on the table. And sure, I agree that it's probably the case it didn't physically hurt these ball pythons, really. I mean, maybe it did, but maybe it didn't. That's not the point. The point is, imagine you were being thrown around. I mean, an expo, let's be honest, is at least to some degree a little bit traumatizing to an animal anyway. You can't hide, you're under lighting, it's very unnatural. Sure, it's only for a short period of time. I have nothing against expos at all. I am not saying anything bad. I love them and we should continue to have them. However, when you pair that with the fact that now this guy is throwing you up in the air and then not catching you, that must be severely traumatizing. And optically, this makes it seem like we're treating these animals like things rather than beings. Is there any other animal on the planet where you'd even consider throwing up in the air like that? Probably not. You did it because they're ball pythons and you juggle balls, which makes it seem like they're just objects to you, and it makes it seem to everybody who's watching that we think of them that way. So if you're watching this video and you're not part of this community, I can tell you, we and the reptile community do not see animals as objects. We do not do this. This is one guy doing a very stupid thing. Please do not judge our bunch of apples by the spoiled one. The good news is, in this case, before we move on to some other things that people really don't like, and for good reason, is that he was canceled. And by canceled, I mean during the day, the next day at the expo, it was a 2-day expo, they cut his banner down and told him to take a hike before the expo started, before people came in. And then, I mean, this is great, Morph Market kicked him off too. So this guy was like truly canceled. Sure, I would love to see and hear what this guy had to say of why he did it. It's not excusable, but we should hear people out, even if, you know, like I don't agree with what he did at all. But I'm just kind of curious, like what goes on through your mind to do that. I don't think you have to concentrate very hard in order to see why you shouldn't do these things, but if you have trouble concentrating, you won't anymore if you take advantage of Magic Mind. This is just bending my brain here. Better. Magic Mind has all the stuff in it that you want in your body and none of the stuff that you don't. Lion's mane, for example. We've seen it everywhere. It's in this stuff, and this stuff is in me, and then I can go ahead and edit these videos and I don't get super tired and I actually can concentrate. I love about Magic Mind too is it comes right to my door once a month. If you want to have one every day, they come in 30 packs. If you're once every other day type of person, you can get them in 15 packs. I open my door on the day, it's right there, bring it into my house, ready to go, and if you choose to skip a month, you can. If you're traveling or whatever the case is, no questions asked, you can skip a month if you need to. Plus, shipping is free and it tastes really good. I've been subscribed since last summer for several months, and I gotta be honest, I'm probably not going back. There's no crash, I don't feel sluggish after, it's all the benefits that it says on the bottle and nothing bad that they don't tell you about. Plus, if you use my code WWR20, you'll get 40% off your first order. So, click the link below, use my code WWR20, and enjoy the savings on your magic mind. Another thing you can do to be a total bonehead and get everybody to cancel you immediately is get bit by a snake that then changes legislation and hurts everybody else who keeps venomous snakes. We all know who I'm talking about. This guy, we did videos about him last year. I'm not gonna bring it up, like, who cares? He's doing well now, which is great. I'm happy, I truly am. I never want any of these guys to get really hurt. That's not me. I think it's gross when people wish ill will on them. I do think, however, they should pay the consequences. I'm not sure how exactly, but what happened, what we knew was gonna happen, is the guy got bit, if you don't know the story, by an inland taipan, which is a snake that if you get bit by and you don't get anti-venom, you die. It's often regarded as the most venomous snake in the world. He was being really silly about how he was doing it, should not have been handling it the way he was. It was definitely reckless and it was just a matter of time. Then he gets bit. He has a bunch of other anti-venom that could have been used for other people who got bit by accident and used all of that, got put on dialysis and then tried to make himself more famous through the entire thing. And now I believe he's gonna be on a Netflix documentary kind of akin to Tiger King, or at least he says he's going to be. Anyway, what we knew was gonna happen is eventually one of these guys who does this recklessly is going to change the laws. What I was told was by the end of that week, the governor of the state that he was in was already on the phone with the powers that be to make law changes about animals. Either way, it doesn't matter if that's true or not. There has been legislation put forward, I don't think it's passed yet, to ban the keeping of venomous snakes in the state, which I do not think works. I don't agree with this. I think that blacklisting animals, making it just on a black market, means that only criminals can have those animals. And guess what? Criminals don't pay attention to laws. And I would argue that the criminals are probably the ones that are the least responsible. If you have a venomous snake and you're not supposed to have it, now you need to get rid of it, well, how are you gonna get rid of it? If it's not worth a lot of money, you're just gonna let it go. This is super dangerous. Where this would be much less likely to happen if it was legal and you could just list it on whatever site and say, hey, it's for free. You can't do that if it's illegal. There are so many reasons I disagree with total bans on animals. I think it's really, really silly. Unless it's for the good of that animal. I don't think that people should be keeping lemurs in their basement, okay? That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it's not bad for that animal to be kept in someone's house if they're doing it properly. It's up to that person to make sure that everybody around them is safe, and if somebody around them were to get bit, then yes, you are liable yourself. Anyway, this guy is kind of shunned by the community for the most part, and in my opinion, because he was told so often, like, this is what's gonna happen to you, it did happen, and now it's changing the livelihood of so many other people. There are people, including YouTubers, one of them, I don't know if he wants me to talk about him, but a guy that I really like online who went to Congress, I think it is. I'm Canadian, I don't know the names of stuff, how you guys do it. Anyway, to go speak to his representative and explain that this is his livelihood and this could ruin his entire livelihood. And he's not a bozo and he's not gonna hurt anybody. So anyway, yeah, don't get bit by venomous snakes in captivity. Generally, people don't like you after that. Second to last, a great way to get canceled is just straight up animal abuse. Don't like this, not cool. There are certain people out there that have been canceled. Samson is a great example of this because there was abuse that was found beyond the reasonable shadow of a doubt. And I'm not saying that everybody who has an allegation you should automatically dislike. If you write somebody off because of an allegation, then anybody can say anything. It's not the right way to do things. But if somebody sends pictures all over the internet of definitely your facility with a bunch of dead animals and animals that have been rotting for a long time and very careless protocols and animals that are alive but barely, this is very clear cut and there's no way to explain it away. I'm not gonna say anybody else's name. The only reason I use that one example is because, that's very clear and documented and I'm not bringing anything new up. I'm not here to make any allegations or try to slander anybody's name, but that's a great way to get canceled is to actually abuse animals. And I would consider throwing a ball python up in the air for fun and then not catching it. That's, kind of abusive by the letter of the word, the definition. You know what I'm trying to say. And lastly, a great way to get canceled is just doing unpopular stuff that most people disagree with. Now, in general, if most people disagree with something, it's probably wrong. The problem is with a lot of care now, I mean, even things like people who say UVB, they fight for UVB, and I don't agree that everything needs UVB. I don't agree with that. But there are people who say that as if it's fact, and then they get not canceled, but pretty darn close. That's kind of silly to me too, because you're not hurting the animal, and these people aren't really sponsored by Arcadia or anybody else. I just picked Arcadia because I love their lighting. So why are we canceling these people? Or people who take care of things in a different sort of way. For example, back when I started doing videos, I kept my bearded dragon in a 4x2x2 enclosure. This is only 6 years ago. And when I did that, people would hate on me because, oh, it's too big, he's gonna get stressed out, you don't need that much space. You're working for the enclosure companies to sell more enclosure. And now if I did anything other than a 4x2x2 or bigger, I wouldn't be able to show my face at a reptile expo. It would be considered abuse because it's too small of an enclosure. So things change. Things like cohabitation. I'm not gonna get too in the weeds. I have a whole video coming out about it. But things like that where it's like, okay, but the scientists all agree with the person who's doing the cohabbing, and it's a bunch of people who started keeping leopard geckos last year that disagree with it. So why? Racks is another thing. Some people keep animals in racks, and 6 years ago that was totally okay. And then now those same people keeping the same snakes in the same racks is terrible, and how dare you do that? Just opinions change and things change, and although it was totally fine 100%, now it's completely wrong. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is going against too many people's opinion can get you canceled. Even if that thing that you're doing isn't necessarily wrong, or in fact is the correct way to do things, but people don't like it. With that said, if you disagree with someone, maybe it's better just to have a conversation with them rather than jumping down their throat on a TikTok or something like that. Anyway, the best way to get canceled is generally to do stuff that you shouldn't be doing most of the time. So instead, what I wanted to do here, the entire point of the video, is let's be a community. Let's not do silly things to animals. Let's not do silly things to other people. Let's not try to go after people. Let's be a community and help each other. We are already looked at as the weirdos, as the guys with these crazy animals that you shouldn't be keeping because they're exotics, and why would just leave them in the wild? And it's silly, and we need to be together in order to prevent these people from winning, because these people, they have all the leverage in the world, and we need to have a little bit too. This video isn't sponsored by USARK, but also like donate to USARK. They do a lot to help us out too. Anyway, thanks for Magic Mind for sponsoring today's episode. As always, please hit the like and subscribe. I do videos twice a week. Well, today's Saturday, but normally Mondays and Thursdays. Patreon, you guys are freaking awesome, and I'll see you guys in the next one.